we're so glad that Jim Rogers has come to us to talk about this idea about having the representatives in their actual districts and interacting with their constituents rather than being so removed in Washington.
I'm flattered to be here. As you know, all new ideas start in California, so if it works in California, it'll sweep the nation very quickly. If one were coming up with the idea of a Congress or a meeting place or a conference these days, you would probably not say, let's all go to St. Louis and have a meeting. You would probably say, well, we can all do it by video, and we don't need to have all that travel, all that staff expense, all that extra expense. Let's stay home, and I will go and talk to the local banker or the local plumber or the local school teacher, and we will figure out what should be done in the way the country should be run. And then when I vote, I would vote in the local high school gym or local city hall or wherever it happened to be. And I think you would have a lot fewer people saying, well, sure, we'll write a check for $750 billion to a few banks on Wall Street with everybody watching. Because I'm sure somebody would say, well, wait a minute, if there's $750 billion for some banks on Wall Street, how about some for me? How about some for us? Or how about some for the new high school gym? Electronically, it can be done now. It's very simple. In fact, I'm sure in the next few years it'll be even simpler and simpler and simpler because electronics are changing very dramatically, very quickly. Technology is. And it just seems to me that we would have a much better country if, when everybody was voting, the locals were watching us vote rather than lobbyists. If any of you have been to Washington, you know whenever there's a vote being held, the lobbyists are all standing along the hallways, talking to them as they go in to vote, and they make sure everybody knows that the lobbyists are sitting there watching. And there are very few people from home sitting there watching. That, in essence, is it. I can answer questions.
I'm trying to envision the representative's day.
Well, first, when he goes to his office every day, it's going to be here. It's not going to have to fly to Washington,
right,
6 hours away.
But what's he going to be doing?
He's going to be, we hope, examining bills. He's going to be talking with his staff, who's going to be here, not in Washington. And then when his constituents want to see him, they will come and see him. One reason you never see your congressman is because he's never here. He's in Washington, which is a long, from here, Los Angeles, is a long, long way away. If he were here all the time, I submit you would see more of him.
But I'm not so sure that if you require a congressman to be in his home district for 75% of the time, that he won't be staying in his own comfortable environment and not really getting out and mixing with his constituency.
Well, Brent, we know he's not getting out and mixing with the constituency now because he's going to the bar in Washington and drinking with the lobbyists. So if nothing else, he's more likely to do things here. And whether you require I'm not sure you have to require 75%. The basic thing is that votes, everything should be done at home. And if, speaking of body language, I had much rather my congressman watching the body language of the local minister or the local teacher than the body language of the local lobbyist, who's basically his body language is writing a check.
I really like this separation between our Congress members and the lobbyists. I really like that part. I like the part of getting them away from this concentration of power.
We'll still have lobbyists. I know they'll be here, but at least they're going to have to go to 535 districts to see the congressmen and the senators. And at the same time, when the congressman comes out of that meeting with the lobbyists or that dinner, the people he looks around and sees are you. He's going to see all of you looking at him. Or if he goes to dinner here in a restaurant, everybody else in that restaurant is going to be one of you instead of other congressmen with other lobbyists. It's going to be an entirely different mindset. It has to be. It has to be a different mindset.
Well, and I suspect if the congressman resided in his local district and he had a schedule of town hall meetings that were every other Friday or whatever, that there might be a lot more interaction.
Yeah, no, that's very good. I like that. I like that point. And they probably would do that. That's why you need them here, though. Even if he comes here and has a town hall meeting 3 times a year, 4 times a year, he could do it every week if he lived here. What's to prevent him? And you could start a movement and say, if you don't do it every week, we're going to run against you and throw you out. And he would do it. Or if he didn't, somebody else would in those circumstances.
If you could wrap up and tell us what the next steps are That would be great.
My wrap up to you is to sleep on it. Think about it. I'm old enough and experienced enough now to know that no matter how much I like or dislike something the first time I hear it, after I've slept on it a while, then it sinks in and it becomes more ingrained, and then the more I think about it, the more I like it and the more I act on it. And if you do wake up in the next 3 or 4 days thinking about it, we can talk on the internet, via email, on the website. There'll be various and sundry ways we can take it from here.